I'm not good enough. Am I really cut out for this? Maybe I'm not meant to do this after all. These are all thoughts I've had in the past few weeks as I began to work on my very first short documentary. If you are a filmmaker, a creative, or an artist of any kind, then I'll bet that you are no stranger to imposter syndrome. And I'm sure if you clicked on this video, you are also wondering, how do we overcome the discomfort of imposter syndrome? It's definitely something that I've been wondering myself. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I have embarked on working on my very first short documentary. And since it's my first one, I've been low-key freaking out. I've just been feeling not good enough. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I've just been really hard on myself. And again, like, that imposter syndrome is creeping up, and it's making me not only question my ability to make this documentary, but also just like, overall, am I even cut out to be a filmmaker? Which is scary and really uncomfortable, because this is something that I love to do, and it doesn't feel good to feel like this is not meant for me after all. But I'm happy to tell you that I've been pushing through this discomfort of imposter syndrome, and even though, yes, it's still like something I'm wrestling with, something I'm working on overcoming, I was fortunate enough to come across some very wise words from Seth Godin, who is basically a marketing guru, marketing legend. He's a very prolific writer, and what he had to say on the Don't Keep Your Day Job podcast, which I will share with you in just a second, really helped me rethink how I approached dealing with my imposter syndrome. So here's that clip.
If you don't feel like an imposter, you're either lazy or you're a sociopath. That if you are leading, if you are doing something that hasn't been done before, if you're making something creative, something new, something important, you will feel like an imposter because you're faking it. You've never actually done this before. So when imposter syndrome shows up, I think the response is thank you. Thanks for letting me know I worked hard today. Don't try to make it go away, because that will make you less of who you are. Embrace it and realize that it's just like running a marathon and getting tired. Being tired is not a defect. Being tired is a symptom that you ran a good race.
I don't know about you, but Seth Godin's perspective and just how he described imposter syndrome and how to deal with it, it's definitely given me, I guess, more of a solid and confident approach when it comes to these feelings of inadequacy, being an imposter and such. And that's why you're here. So let's get to them. So just a little disclaimer before we get into the 3 things that are helping me deal with my own imposter syndrome. I want to be very transparent. I think that overcoming imposter syndrome is not just a one and done thing. I think it's something that we will have to continually overcome as we move through our careers, move through our lives. And the 3 things I'm going to talk about today are just 3 tools to help us tackle imposter syndrome whenever it does come up. Because again, I think it's something that just is always going to be there. Again, as we level up, as we improve, as we better ourselves in every respect of life. And I just want to make that clear. There's no miracle cure for imposter syndrome. First, acknowledge its presence. And I know that sounds really simple, but I think instead of running away from it, we just have to acknowledge, like, hey, here it is. Imposter syndrome is coming up for me. And with help of Seth Godin and also just observing my own thoughts and feelings around doing my first documentary, I realized that imposter syndrome usually comes up when I'm doing something for the first time. So I've realized that imposter syndrome really is just an indicator when we are venturing out of our comfort zone. And I know that doesn't make it any less scary or any less uncomfortable, but again, kind of reframing the idea of imposter syndrome as a sign of growth, a sign that we are, again, pushing ourselves to become better. I think is a better way to look at it than just some scary thing that's telling us that we're not good enough for this. It's not so much you're not good enough. It's more of, oh, I haven't done this before, so I'm scared. Just like anytime you've done anything for the first time you got on a bike, right? You were scared that you were gonna fall off. Chances are you probably did, but you got back on, right? Second, the worst that could happen is that you'll make a mistake. And again, I know that's probably not exactly what you want to hear, but ultimately, I just want to assure you that no matter what the outcome, whatever you're doing for the first time, even though you may be scared, even though you don't know if you're capable of doing it, know that this is an opportunity to gain more experience and ultimately to learn. Whether you succeed or maybe you make a mistake, you need to allow yourself to be imperfect. And lastly, embrace it, take action, and keep going. I know throughout this video, we've said it many times, feeling like an imposter is uncomfortable and it's scary. But I think the only way to move forward in those situations, in those instances, is to continue doing the damn thing, even if you don't feel good enough for it at the moment. Like Seth said, imposter syndrome is just letting you know that you did your best. And of course, yes, you still have to wrestle with that thought, that feeling of, was my best good enough? But at least you can be sure that you gave it your all. And even if your all didn't exactly get you the outcome that you hoped for, you at least can reflect on the experience and do better next time, because I promise you there will be a next time. I guess to sum it up, imposter syndrome is not a bad thing. Imposter syndrome is simply a sign, it's an indicator that we are on the right path. It's a sign of growth and it's a sign of expansion. Like with most things on this channel, this is all easier said than done, but I hope this video serves at least as a good starting point for you to begin to overcome your own imposter syndrome in your own life. And if you would like to continue this conversation, please let me know down in the comments. When was the last time you encountered imposter syndrome and how did you navigate that feeling? And maybe we can help each other navigate our own imposter syndrome together. All right, YouTube, if you found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more from me, and ring that bell so you don't miss a thing. I'm Marissa Roxas. I'm a filmmaker from San Diego, California, and I hope to help you put self-love first. All right, YouTube, I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care.